All right, here's the March group training for Okanagan Peak Performance. Here is what the individual tracking sheets will look like. We'll obviously go over each exercise on each day, but again, we're going to be tracking one thing per day. So day one, it is the rowing. It's going to be like a 4-minute round. So how far did they get? And these are the weeks: week 1, week 2, week 3. There's only one round, so they would put their name in through there. Station or workout B, floor press, is going to be our sort of the exercise that we're looking at it. They're going to be doing a ladder where they go 4, 6, 8, and then they keep repeating that. So what's the top load that they did for 8 reps? So obviously I have reps here. Maybe they didn't quite get it, but this should be saying 8 every time. And then the load that they have. There should be enough space if they want to do left arm, right arm. They can do that, but it should hopefully be the same. C, sled push and pull. There's a couple rounds where we have 60 seconds, and then there's 2 other rounds where you do 30 seconds. We're only going to count the 60-second ones, and then pushing it there, pulling it back, that counts as 1. How many times did they do that in round 2, which is a 60-second round, and same for round 4, and total that up. Bike watts here for another station where they're going to have to do 30-second repeats of bike sprints, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off with a partner, and they're only doing it 1 round. But I want to see what their lowest watt round was out of those. So within that 4 minutes, that they're going to be there for 4 minutes, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off with their partner, so they get 4 different sprints at that station. What was the lowest peak wattage that they hit out of those 4? So if you just keep track of the lowest one, and then they try to beat that from week to week. And then finally E, another big circuit, the Pro Agility, where they run back and forth between the hurdles, or the cones rather. There's going to be 3 rounds, and then how many did they get on each round, and we'll specify what counts as a full round, and then you just total them up from there. So workout A, simple workout, just 2 parts. We have our warm-up circuit up here where we have, again, 3 different stations, A, B, and C. Or sorry, 1, 2, 3. Each one has an A and a B component. So push-ups and high rows, you just go back and forth between those 2, and then a big switch every second one. Goblet squat, kettlebell, RDL, and then overhead walk with the kettlebell. So you're holding the kettlebell upright, walking back and forth the length of the gym with the right arm, and then switching over to the left. The second half of this is the real sort of meat and potatoes of it, is what I call the 4x4 circuit. So there's 4 rounds. That's our 240 seconds here. 4 stations, and they're each 4 minutes. That's where the 4x4 comes in. So station number 1, row, how far can they get? Station 2, you do 10 TRX rows, then you lunge down to the other end of the gym, you do wall slides, and you lunge back down to the other end of the gym to repeat the rows. So you just keep going back and forth like that. I'll explain that a bit more when we get to the image of the gym. The bike, again, how far for 4 minutes, and then the core circuit, you do dead bugs, 5 each, plank and reach 5 each, straight leg sit up 10. So you do 10 of everything, should make it simple, and then emphasize this 3-second component here on each one. So at the end of each dead bug, you're holding it for 3 seconds when you do the big exhale. Plank and reach, every time you reach that arm out there, it's going to be for 3 seconds, and the straight legged sit up, they go back down for 10 seconds. So this is just a core circuit that they're just going to go back and forth between these 3 exercises for that entire 4 minutes, and there's always a 1 minute off, but you only complete each station once. So how that's going to look in the gym here. So for our first warm-up circuit, obviously our 3A and B here, our walks are just going to be going up and down the gym here like this. Our push-ups and TRX rows are going to be sort of happening around here, and then we'll keep the goblet squats and the kettlebell RDLs around in this general area. For the 4x4 area, we don't really need much sort of space management other than for number 2 here, the TRX row. So again, they do 10 TRX rows here, then they walking lunge all the way down to the wall here. They perform 10 wall slides here, then they do 10 walking lunges back, and then they do their TRX rows. So they're always, whenever they're going from one station to the next, they're always doing lunges like that. So the bikes are obviously going to be staying there. The rowers, you can kind of put them sort of on the sides here, depending on how many people you have. And then the core circuit can happen again probably around this general area here, or if you want to keep everyone sort of down here, you can do that as well. The space shouldn't be much of an issue on this particular workout. Workout B is going to be one of our 3 period ones. So we got 1, 2, 3 distinct areas here. So for the athletic circuit, we'll just skip to this sort of layout here, since it's pretty easy to understand the dynamics of it. So again, we have 3 different stations, 1, 2, 3, each with an A and a B. So for these ones, our overhead walking lunges with the dowel, that's going to be happening up and down here. Then they're just going to keep the dowel and in place. They're going to be doing their dowel hinges. Number 2, half kneeling Pallof press, that's going to have to happen around the post here. So outside leg is up, they're going to be doing the Pallof presses, 3-second holds, and then they come in and then keep going back and forth. And then for 3A and B, it's dumbbell rows, left arm and right arm. We're going to have the dumbbells out for the floor press in the next section here. So I would say bring 1 or 2 benches around here with the dumbbells or the kettlebells, and again, space management shouldn't be too much of an issue. For the second section, I passed it already, but basically this is going to be a ladder and a 15-minute sort of running time station here. So for 15 minutes, they just can go back and forth between doing heel touches on their left and their right leg, in a set of inverted rows, and then a set of floor presses. So it's kind of self-paced, but they do it in a ladder format, where they do 4 reps of heel touches on the left and the right, 4 inverted rows, 4 floor presses per side, and they come back up here. They do 6 heel touches, 6 inverted rows, 6 floor presses, and then a round of 8 heel touches, 8 inverted rows, 8 floor presses, and then they start that back over again. So within that 15-minute time frame, how many ladders are they going to get going through? So by going 4, 6, 8 each time, we're sort of helping manage fatigue in that sense. And with each ladder, they can also go up in weight in terms of what they want to do. So for the spacing of this one, obviously the inverted rows have to happen along here, but the rest of it's going to sort of just happen in this general area here. If we bring a couple of these boxes out for the heel touches, to the small and the medium boxes, as well as the metal ones, so that they can do that. And then floor presses, I mean, we'll just have the dumbbells kind of strewn about. You just got to make sure that there's more than enough room to do floor presses, just because when someone brings the weight down, we just don't want it to fall on the finger of someone who's nearby them. The final sort of circuit here, this is just a straight little circuit. They're just going to go through it twice, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and 4 stations. Pretty simple. The only one that really takes up any space is going to be the lateral shuffle. So we'll set up a couple cones about 5 yards apart. They're just shuffling back and forth for those 40 seconds before they move on to burpees. So I think for the most part, if you do your slams, your squats, your lateral shuffles, and then your burpees over here, and then feel free to use the box for the or benches for the burpees, so they don't have to go all the way down to the ground. For C, we got the big circuit. We're going to have 2 circuits on this particular one. The timing issue on it is going to be rounds 1 and 3 are going to have a 30-second on, 15-second off, sort of a warm-up round at the beginning. And then round 3 is kind of what I call the vacation round between rounds 2 and 4, which are 60 seconds on, 30 seconds off. When we track this one, again, we're tracking the sled push and pulls. We're only tracking the rounds, the long rounds, the 60-second ones. And that's about it. So a couple exercises we haven't really done before. We're going to do over and unders here. Obviously, we don't have these exact type of hurdles, so we're going to use the dip bars to sort of step over, and then we've got one set of the hurdles that we can make out of the cones so they go over. So they're going to step over, pretend this one and this one are the dip bars. So we're going to step over the dip bars, and we'll step under one of the hurdle bars, and we won't have a fourth one. So they're just going to go kind of back and forth over it. If you have more than one person, they're just going to go through it, and then they would walk around to the start, and then they would go back through it, facing it a different direction each time like that. If there's only 8 people, they can just keep going back and forth with it. And a down dog push-up is just they do a push-up, and then on the way up they drive into a down dog position. So this is a bit of a mobility kind of exercise, almost like a bit of a rest here between doing box jumps and the running man on the slide board. So the down dog push-ups are sort of again deemed as a bit of a quote-unquote easier station. How that will look like in the gym here, we've got all the exercises listed over here, and I've put these guys out here. So it should run in a somewhat logistical fashion. Obviously, the sled pushes and pulls. There are going to be some coming back and forth here. We'll put up a couple cones so they know exactly how far they need to go, especially if we're quantifying it with the tracking sheet. But after they do their sled push and pulls, we'll do the over-unders. We'll put those hurdles that I was just describing over here. The squat and rows we're going to have to do off of a band, or off of the post with a band, so that's going to happen in this general area. The sledgehammer, we'll keep it here so we don't have to move the tire too far. Obviously, from station 4 all the way to station 5 is a bit of a jaunt, and then they do their box jumps, their down dog push-ups I just kept over here, so they could use the benches or the boxes as to do a hand elevated, or this bench is also available. And then the running man will use a slide board over here, and then finally we just got to put a balance board sort of squat over there, and it should sort of work out logistically. If you have more than 8 people, we'll have to play around with this format, but we'll grab the glute hand machine and we'll go up and down this sort of runway here. The glute hand machine slides really well, and we'll put a TRX around it, so you push it there and then you pull it back and forth, and you can almost kind of race with this one. But we'll have to, obviously they weigh different amounts and stuff like that, so it won't be kind of a fair race, so to speak. Workout D, similar to workout A in the sense that we only have kind of 2 halves, and then the second half is sort of these 4-minute stations. I'll describe that in a second. So warm-up station, again, we've got our A and our B's, or sorry, our A and our B's for stations 1, 2, and 3. Just a quarter get up, so it's more of kind of like a sit up, but we'll be holding onto a kettlebell. You got your left side and your right side. 2 is a agility ladder, so you can kind of pick whatever sort of fancy footwork you want to do on that one. And then a dynamic Blackburn. So a dynamic Blackburn looks like this. I kind of call it the fish out of water. The goal is just to be able to sort of keep your hands off of the ground. We'll go over this one a bit in person if you've never seen it before. But basically, you're trying to bring your hands from your back, your palms facing each other, going all the way around slowly, maybe a bit slower than what this guy's demonstrating here. You just got to try to keep your hands up off the ground. If someone's really good at this one, we could put a couple plates right over here, so he's forcing your arms to get over top of that. But still a great scapular rhythmic stabilization sort of movement, and actually fairly difficult. For 3 A and B, they're just kind of an isometric holds. This should say push-up hold, and it'll make sure that it says that in our written description. So they do a squat stretch hold, where you're just holding the bottom of a squat, and then this second station is a push-up hold. So again, you might have to have your hands elevated on a bench in order to play around with that. The second half, again, it's going to be 4-minute stations, 4 minutes per station, split into 30-second intervals, alternating with a partner. So we've got our 4-minute stations, but we'll set the timer for 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So if you and a partner are on the slide board, you're on the slide board for 30 seconds, going back and forth as fast as you can, and then when the buzzer goes, the other person jumps right on, and they go for 30 seconds back and forth. So you're going to go back and forth for those 4 minutes. So each person is going to do 4 shifts per station, and then there's only a 30-second sort of switch over to the other ones. Whoever goes first, they're going to get that full minute's worth of rest, because on their after their last slide board, there's going to be 30 seconds of their partner going, and then a 30-second break for them to get to the next station. So again, that format is just going to be going back and forth the whole time. So the medicine ball, squat and throw with our sandbag medicine balls, this will work well. So basically, you're just going to squat and throw the ball. It won't roll very far, and you're going to go pick it up, and you're going to throw it back. You're just going to be going back and forth along the gym, and then the partner jumps in with it. So when we look at it to see what it looks like in the gym, for our warm-up section here, we got one A and B, our Turkish, our sort of our quarter get-ups. We'll just do this in this general area, so we don't have to move the kettlebells very far. The agility ladder we can set up over here as long as we're not too close to the Kaiser here, right in through here. Dynamic Blackburns, we only need the ground. And then our squat stretch, let's do it around the post, so that if someone needs to use the post to hold on for the squat stretch, they can. And then the push-ups, we got that bench there, or they can do it off the ground, where they're just going to be holding that position there. For the second half, for the shift work, we got our slide boards. Let's bring them, we'll just lay them out there. So again, if there's 2 people, they only really need 1 slide board, so they can go back and forth, and it's like a hockey shift where one person's going back and forth for 30 seconds, they jump off, they wait while their partner is going back and forth, and they just keep switching back and forth. Medicine ball throws, we'll put a target here and a target down here. So you throw the medicine ball, and then you sprint after it, pick it up, and just throw it back and forth. So you're just playing catch by yourself. You're throwing and you're sprinting, we can kind of try to quantify, I mean, how many times were you going back and forth, what weight of a medicine ball we're using as you're going back and forth like that. Station 3, the bike sprint. So each person will have their own bike. So person A is on this bike, they're sprinting for 30 seconds, while person B is getting this bike set up for their height. So after the 30-second sprint where this person is going, then this person sprints for 30 seconds. So they each have their own bikes, so that they don't have to waste any time going back and forth. So basically, one bike always has to be sprinting. So 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off with their partner. And station 4, TRX holds obviously has to happen over here. Each person can have their own TRX strap. So if I'm holding my TRX row hold like this for 30 seconds, right when the buzzer goes, that person's already into their TRX hold like that, and they just keep going back and forth. Maybe you can have a little contest to see who can go the lowest. Finally, workout E is another big circuit. This time we're going to have, this should say rounds 1, 2, and 3. So there's 3 rounds, and they're all 60 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Here's our rounds, here's our stations, here's the total time. We can take a minute off in between each round. And then here's all the exercises over here that we'll go over here in a second here. So this is what it looks like in the layout. So our pro agility, this should say sort of shuttle run more so. We have a cone here, and a cone there. So they run to the middle cone, back, end cone, back. That's one, and they just keep repeating that for those 60 seconds. That's the one that we're recording, so we'll have to put them in their specific locations of 0 yards, 5 yards, and 10 yards, so that we're sort of keeping them in the correct position. Station 2 is going to be that Spina 90-90 stretch, where we're just going to be going, again, after the sprints, you want to have somewhat of an easier station. So this one I just call the transition, so they get in that 90-90 position. They don't necessarily kind of do the stretches where you're leaning over each in particular leg, but you're just going to transition back and forth. We'll go over that in person. Station 3, sandbag cleans and squats over here. Set the rower up here, so there's going to be another sort of tougher station here with a rower for 60 seconds. Go on there, and again, you're looking at sort of what pace are they able to sort of maintain. Alternating reverse lunges, kettlebell swings, overhead squats over here, hanging knee raises, back to the start over here. So again, they do get 30 seconds in between each one to sort of transition from one spot to the other, but it does run in that sort of circular fashion.